Good morning, YouTube, and welcome to another Gone Rogue. Today, we're playing Nova Drift. Something a bit different. I actually play this with mouse and keyboard. I absolutely loathe the controls on the controller, ironically enough, because this is actually the type of game I tend to play with the controller. But instead of... we're going for a salvo build here, since I didn't get offered the railgun, which was my other choice. But since it's not just move left stick to move on the controller, it is, like, you move the left stick to rotate, and then you use left trigger to move, to thrust, the thrusters. It's really awkward for some reason. Like, I would absolutely use, we're going for reflect shields because they're my favorite. I would absolutely use a controller with just left stick to move, but because of how it controls so awkwardly, the mouse actually functions way better for movement. Because you left click to move to where you're pointing, basically. Instead of having to awkwardly rotate with the left stick and all that. Now, this enemy is a bit annoying if you don't have a lot of projectiles, which I don't. So I can't really charge super fast. Let's see, Sentinel or Assault. Let's go for rate of fire, so we charge the bursts faster. Another thing that is amazing to have is extra projectiles, so that we charge more projectiles at once. Just stay away from those things as they blow. Let's see. Targeting is great. Magnitude. Velocity. I want both of those eventually, so get magnitude first. Also, my high score is nothing too special, so I hope I can break it today. But so far the game hasn't been very kind about that. Let's see, we definitely want Splinter, we definitely want Volley, we definitely want Payload. Want all of these. Let's get Volley first so we charge faster. And we charge 6 at a time instead of 4. Kind of a big deal. We do lose a bit of damage, but we'll make up for that later. Another must, in my opinion, for this weapon is charge, because you're waiting anyway for the weapon to fill up, so charging while you're waiting for it to fill up just increases your damage tremendously. Now you start by leveling pretty quick. Now let's get velocity out of all of these, because it does increase the damage a little bit as well. And more damage is always nice, because health does scale on enemies in this game, so you definitely want more damage. And since this is literally an endless mode, you can technically keep going indefinitely, but some of the enemies and waves later on get really, really hard. So that may not be in the cards. I don't care about firing array too much on this one. Let's get blast radius. We do have wild mobs turned on, so there is some interesting possibilities there. Took some nasty damage. Gotta be careful for a bit, because you do regen health in this game as well as shields. So If you don't get hit too much at once, you won't die. Yeah, high explosive out of all of these. Yeah. Oh, and I took rear firing once. I'm never doing it again. It's fucking obnoxious. Also, oops, swearing. I'm so bad at not swearing. But yeah, the rear firing is really, really obnoxious. Let's get payload. Also want calibrate eventually, because it works really well with charging. As well as burst fire, ironically enough. Let's see, focus fire is great, so that the missiles spread out less. Since we're going to be grabbing fusillade later on, and the other one that gives more projectiles but a huge amount of spread, decreasing the spread a little bit is nice. Ah, crap. Didn't notice that. I don't want my XP. A bit of a risk. A bit of a risk. A shame too that we had one of those worms. They're basically XP farms. That's a lot of these guys. Holy smokes. Twin strike. Absolutely twin strike, because it's super rare. And it gives us more projectiles. Gotta avoid that. We don't want burst fire. We do want snipe. Again, shame to lose the experience, but if you get sucked into the singularity, it goes away and you get reduced to very low health and shields. So definitely want to be careful with that. The Twin Strike basically gives you an extra projectile for very little downside, but it's also very rare. So it's very neat to get, but I don't expect to see too many of them, basically. Like, you can't take them an indefinite amount of time. Well, we finally got charge shot, so our damage is gonna go up a little bit. I mean, you can destroy the meteors and sometimes get some extra experience. Now for the first, like, boss, it's actually not very difficult at all. At first, just, like, hover in here, and then the next attack, it will, like, start firing from the center, and then you don't want to be in here. And you also want to be careful about the rings it fires out. Just stay in front of it, and you should be fine. It's not super difficult. It's actually one of the easier bosses. Again, I say this after getting used to the controls, because it definitely takes some getting used to. I play a little bit, only like 8 hours or something. So it's not like I've spent a ton of time on this game already. But, let's see. Let's get targeting, because it unlocks something I want later. Might reroll a couple of times next, actually, to get Fusillade, because Fusillade is a huge deal. Yeah. Try to stay away from the singularities, because they hurt. They hurt real bad. Do try to steal the XP from the singularity as it goes away. And we got Fusillade. So now we get 12 projectiles at a time instead of 7. As you can imagine, that makes it a lot faster to charge up projectiles. Now, they individually may do a bit less damage, but we can fix that later. Let's see. Definitely want Splinter and Calibrate and Guidance. First, let's get Splinter. It makes dealing with, like, small groups of enemies a lot easier because every missile that hits splits into multiple other smaller missiles that seek out their own targets. Once you get full homing, that makes it a lot better. Those things explode, so don't be close to them as you shoot them. It would be a very bad experience if you blow up too many of them at once. So there goes the, like, splinter missiles, or as they're called. Like I said, it makes kind of a big difference. Let's reroll Concentrated Blast for another 35% damage. Also wanted Calibrate though. This guy can be really annoying. It really depends on your weapons and like how far you've come with weapon upgrades. It can be insanely annoying. It can also be not too terrible, it depends. I always try to get in here so that the atom thingies don't block the shots, because they do block the shots. I don't have very strong guidance yet, which is why I didn't kill that guy. Got the experience. Got some meteors blown up. Let's see. Double tap is not good for this build. It's got whole strength. I only care about incendiary strike on a railgun build because it scales off of the first hit you do, and then it only adds a little bit of damage. So it's really not that good on burst builds because burst builds obviously have a lot of smaller hits. Whereas railgun builds have a lot of, like, a low amount of big hits. Or grenade builds might also work. Okay, let's get Calibrate so that the missiles are more accurate as they go out. Because it counts as not firing if you're charging up. Otherwise it would be crap. But for some reason it doesn't do that. Also, these trails do damage. So don't try to stay in them, like I did just now. And these guys are being really annoying. Go away. They're programmed to try to move away as you fire, and it's obnoxious. Okay, so let's see. Let's get drone specialist because I want to get drones eventually anyway to get some supplementary damage. And it's a pretty rare wild mob, so getting it out of the way now is not a bad thing. It's not a construct build, mind you, but it's just for some supplementary damage when I'm not doing anything. Because it is a burst build, so I can't be shooting all the time. Maximum shield, shield cooldown. There. let's hopefully get some more levels sometime soon. This guy is generally not too tough. It does depend on your weapons, though. Just try to stay behind him as much as possible, so you're not too bothered by the lasers he fires. Let's see, antimatter rounds. We like those around here. Gives me a little bit of self-damage every time I fire, but it's very negligible because I don't fire often. Not too bad. This is where those splinter missiles are really, really nice. And I always tend to go reflect shields, by the way. For some reason, I like them the most. Tried a lot of the other shields, and I'm generally not too impressed by most of them. Let's see. Regeneration rate, more drones. That's all good. I want it all. Well, not literally every upgrade is good, by the way, but I always hate having to make choices here, because generally there's more than one thing I want. I guess that's why it's a roguelite, huh? So you have meaningful choices to make. Okay, let's grab all this experience. Upgrade. Let's see. Let's reroll. Yeah, let's get guidance. So the charge is a bit slower, but it's much more likely to hit. Which, of course, is kind of a big deal, considering the sheer amount of projectiles we fire. So having them hit is kind of a big deal. And maybe now you see why I like burst builds. They're very satisfying. And sometimes, depending on how much projectiles you have, you can keep clearing the screen for ages after you fire, because of the sheer amount of missiles and all the other shit flying around. Granted, it can also make it a bit harder to actually see what's hostile. Don't care too much about this one. Let's get rocket drones, so they are a bit more useful. Now this guy can be a royal pain in the ass. So, because of this stupid ability of his. Now I am doing a lot of damage to him, to be fair. Now he's gonna start charging. And he's a bit more annoying to avoid when he does that. Shields. I really don't want to get hit by his, like, quadruple railgun right now. And we won. Whew. Oh, and I immediately follow it up by one of these. Are you kidding me? Well, I one-shot him, so it's fine. Let's get all that experience. And all of that experience. Like I said, sometimes you have a lot of things flying around for a long time, which makes burst builds really nice. Drone hull. Don't care about firing array. Let's get advanced engineering. So that the drones can maybe do a bit more damage. Yeah, we want convergence because more projectiles. It does give me more spread too, but with reduced spread from earlier, or increased spread, my bad. With the reduced spread from earlier, as well as the calibration, it's actually barely noticeable as long as you wait a bit before firing. So, 127,000. I believe my record is something like 400,000. So, we got a while to go. Okay, let's see. Let's get shield upgrades, since that one doesn't have a downside. Now this one is being a bit careful. Let's see. We have a few rerolls, so let's reroll. Let's get another drone upgrade. See, now the drones are picking off some targets as well. It's for when I am charging and have downtime. It's nice to have them do some damage. They're not going to be my main DPS, but they definitely add a bit of flexibility and a bit of extra kills. This is not very nice because of the spiky things blowing up. Let's reroll. See if we can get anything. Heavy caliber. Formation battalion. I'm pretty sure that makes him fire way faster. Puts him behind you. And it blew up. Downside is they always fire. Let's get to this side of the screen so I can get behind him. This guy, you want to be behind. Like, always. So you have a much easier time blowing him to shit. Because he only does that weird, like, really wide attack if you're in front of him. So if you're behind him, it's not too bad. Let's see. Let's get fleet, so we have more drones. I can have a max of 8. And as you can see, they fire little homing missiles pretty fast, so it actually adds significant damage at this point. So this build, or adding them is actually not a bad idea. It doesn't take a lot of levels to get to this point. And it's especially neat on builds that have downtime between firing. Like if you get burst railgun, for example. Which is very strong, but like has a long time between firing. Oh, they do die a lot, but they rebuild, so it's fine. Could get drone hull. Yeah, let's get drone hull, so they die a bit less fast. And then ideally I also want the one I just saw, with more construct limit. And faster construction, I think. Let's actually switch to this. They fire a bit less fast, but they get destroyed a bit less easily. And they always fire at the target. Think that's enough kills? I don't know. Get out of here. There go my shields. Gotta be careful for a bit here. Let's see. Don't like Defiance. Let's get Absorption. Is it dead yet? No, it's not. It's gonna be a little bit longer. They did not give me any reprieve for that. Damn it! Let's see, how long has it been? 26. That's quite long enough. Otherwise I would do another run, but let's just leave it here. Oh, not nearly my best run, but yeah, this game is a lot of fun. It's actually very addictive, so check it out. If you feel like it, it's very cheap. It's like 15 bucks, I think, 12 euros, something like that. So yeah, if you're interested, check it out. And that'll be it for today. I'm out.